goodness.
We're goobers with Court because actually Courtney is one of our employees as well, but she is the only employee that wasn't a client first. So our story is a little bit different. So first, this is Courtney.
Hello. She's a good friend of ours.
She's beautiful. We love her. I met Courtney on Instagram. And she just happened to need a roommate, and I had a roommate that was moving out. And I'm pretty, I'm selective. And I was like, sure, you can come move in with us. We'll try it for a month and see how it goes. And
trial period.
She moves in.
Didn't we do that as an employee too?
Yes.
We'll try you out for a month.
We're gonna give it a test
It's
run.
nothing personal.
We have commitment issues. So she comes in, moves in with me, and I fell in love with her. I would love for you to share, because anyone who knows Courtney now knows that she is drastically different from 2.5 years ago.
Let me say a few things first. So Courtney has been on an intense journey and process getting healthy for a long time. And there's a lot of painful things that she's gone through in her life.
But don't tell the story.
I'm not telling the story.
Don't share too many details.
But what I do want to share is that she's actually had the unique experience to be a coach. And and after having walked through years and years and years of really painful behaviors and things that she felt trapped in, she actually started helping coach people to get out of their stuff, and has worked with a bunch of different women, has worked with other high-level coaches and men, and helped them work through their things. And so it's cool that she's partnered with us in this season to help us, get the word of Alive and Free out and bring more women into our program. But we'd love to hear some of your story.
So who was Courtney 2.5 years ago? What was some of that life like?
Wait, am I supposed to look at the camera?
You treat them like they're one of us three that you're talking to.
Yeah,
So
but you
you're
don't have
looking
to
at
just
us,
stare
you're
at
looking at
them.
the camera, they're a friend, we're a friend.
I'm gonna leave all of this in too.
Great. Awesome. 2.5 years ago, I was a mess. I really did not like myself, but I think I really didn't know that. When I moved in with Sammy, I really just didn't know how much I was going through and how much I was struggling with. And actually, a month before, I don't know if you remember this, but I was supposed to move in, and then I tried to back out.
Yes.
Yeah. So right before I moved in, my brother passed away, and so that was just like a super traumatic time. And not only that, but that year before was the first year of my life that I was actually fully committed to wanting breakthrough, but couldn't figure out what that would look like. And so I felt very stuck at that time, because I have a history of 12 years, I think, of eating disorders. And when I moved in with you, I was still enthralled in the behaviors. And at the highest point of my struggles with bulimia, I was binging and purging 7 to 9 times a day.
Wow.
Yeah. Basically because I had the belief that the only way for me to be loved and accepted was to have a specific body type, and the only way for me to look that way was through self-destruction.
Yeah.
And so that was my form of addiction, was food, and I was addicted to the way I could make my body look. And so I remember moving in with you just feeling like there was no way I could ever be free of that. And so, yeah, you were the first person that I knew had to some extent walked through what I had walked through, and we're walking in a level of freedom that I'd never seen before.
Mm-hmm. And what's changed for you because I know that we got to kind of mentor you, both of us separately, got to kind of mentor you and love on you and be a friend to you, but I know that you've gotten help in other places too.
Right.
But what has the last 2.5 years of growth looked like for you? What have you found freedom in? What's changed in your inner world and in your life in general?
That's a good question. I would say one of the biggest things would be not escaping my pain and knowing what that looks like. And it's funny because 2.5 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to use those terms. I didn't know what that really even meant. I think a big part of it was learning to accept myself in the destruction. And so a big part of my process that felt so vital, and I feel like anyone who deals with any toxic coping mechanisms needs to go through, is self-acceptance inside of it. And so something I'll never forget is one time I met with Spence, and I don't remember exactly how you communicated it, but you communicated not focusing on stopping the behaviors of binging and purging, but accepting and loving myself through it.
Yeah.
And that changed my process drastically, because I didn't overnight, just one day, stop binging and purging. And that's what it felt like so many people wanted of me, and especially in the church, when you feel like pray over you and you're like instantly healed.
Maybe that one-time miracle.
And then they check in with you and they're like, you're still going through this? And you're like,
and
sorry
so
to disappoint
shameful.
you, you know?
So shameful. And because I would experience watching so many other people get prayer and have that instant moment of breakthrough, and I would get so upset because I'd be like, well, if you're struggling with a coping mechanism that you don't need, yet mine is food, so I have to go home and face food every day, that just felt impossible. But it actually feels that much more empowering to me, because I had to learn to walk it out every day. And so actually some of my process looked like nights crying myself to sleep because it was so hard not to be binging. But that's where I'm so grateful to have had you guys, because it was just a really long process of that.
What was like a moment that you felt like things are really different now?
Or like a moment then to now?
When do you feel like, because I remember having conversations with you, really high stakes.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like whenever things came up, the thing that I felt most sad about is how high stakes it felt that you were going through those different painful moments.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so where do you feel like, was it just over time, or were there like specific moments that you can go, it went from a 10 out of 10 to a 2 out of 10?
Like that's where breakthrough happened.
Yeah.
Both. I didn't have a lot of like, this moment was so insanely powerful. I think I had some like inner healing moments.
It's very progressive.
Yeah, but I would say more than anything, it's been not a 30-minute encounter and not an inner healing moment. It's been more of like a day-to-day life of learning to be that like nurturer to myself, and learning to be the one to accept myself, and not judging myself. And I think if we could pinpoint moments, it would be the nights I would spend alone, sitting with my craft and not reacting.
Which was so hard for you to do.
Yeah.
I remember you trying to escape scenarios where you'd be on your own and trying everything you could do to be with people. Which leads me to another big piece of your process that I've watched you conquer is rejection wounds.
Yeah.
Majorly. I remember you being very reactive because it was so painful for you, because there was such a theme of it in your life. I'm blown away that you went from binging and purging 9 times a day to not doing it for months and months and months. I don't even know how long it's been for you now. That blows me away. But what blows me away is in relationship with you, watching the way you used to react to your fear and pain of rejection to now how you just navigate through things really confidently. You ask questions, you seek to understand, you assume the best, you like look at my heart and things that I say and that I do. Like, what has changed that pain and that wound of rejection for you, and not reacting to it and living from it anymore?
Oh gosh, that's a good question too. It's so hard because a lot of these things was not like in this moment then I knew. It was such a it really was. Like, it was 2.5 years. So that's not an easy thing to look through, especially when you're seeing yourself every day in the mirror.
Yeah.
But I would say in the hardest moments, it was just deciding that it's not that other people have the desire to reject me. And it went from so much of like, everyone hates me, no one wants to be around me, I'm a burden, I'm annoying. I just had so many of those beliefs. And so it is a lot of figuring out where those started and visiting the pain in childhood, but it's also been like the repetition of deciding that that's not my truth.
Yeah.
And so I've had to spend a lot of time inside my own head deciding new belief systems and new truths, and encountering the Lord in areas that I never had let him in before.
Yeah.
And then I think it gets easier because then you watch people react to you differently as you show up differently. So it's gotten easier over time, because when I'm not believing, I'm annoying, no one wants to be around me, whatever it is, I stop creating that. So it just got easier as people responded differently.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Did you learn, like, I'm curious, I'm not saying that it is this way, but in relationship with us, do you feel like there was any level where you could chip away at some of that story? Like in relationship with us?
Yeah, because you didn't run when I acted that way. I mean, there was a lot of really hard conversations with you and a lot of moments that I wanted to get so pissed off because I didn't get to play a pity party or victim mode anymore. But what's so great about that is instead of someone running from me or not bringing up the conversation or just getting annoyed with it, you actually sat and walked through that pain so that I would no longer react that way, which is not the theme of what my life had produced. So
I love that. I love hearing that on her side, because I agree that that's something you experienced, but where I feel like you get a lot of credit in this process is that you leaned in really incredibly hard moments. And when I think about you as a person, I think one of the things that marks you as Courtney, the Courtney that I know, is that you are willing to lean into the hardest moments and be resilient through them, and so that you can get to the other side.
And it sure has hell not been easy. Like I watched you suffer. Like for the 2.5 years that I've known you, there has been a consistent suffering, but this consistent victory that you experience moment to moment, because you're so willing to push through the resistance and get to the other side so that you can experience love and experience the life that you want and to be the woman that you want to be and have the relationships that you want.
Yeah.
So
like if there's a gift that I could take from you and give it to our 350 clients, it would be that they have that resilience and that tenacity to just move forward no matter what, and know that they're going to have a reward on the other side. And because it is painful, and you know, the thing that we never sell is it's going to be easy with our programs or anything that we do or the process that we offer. Like the thing that we never say is that it's going to be easy, that it's going to cost little, right? It's that it's going to cost something.
Yeah.
There are going to be really challenging, difficult, and scary moments, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it is.
your undies are showing.
I don't think anyone would have known.
You can see his thighs.
Okay.
Keep going.
I was just gonna say that I think it also doesn't ever get easier, but what I find is it's kind of like this idea that the more you can dive into your pain, the more you can experience a higher level of joy and of love and of every emotion. And so if you want the fullness of life where you can go into the depths, you get to go into the pain. So it's not that the pain is ever like easier, but in a way it's almost more
Rewarding.
yeah, like you desire less to run from it because you know what the payoff is going to be. And I know for myself, I'd much rather experience the depths of pain and the highest level of joy I can instead of just the middle ground for the rest of my life, because that's just too comfortable.
Well, this brings up a huge point, because we've had people comment on our ads, or we've had people comment in emails, or like we have almost 40,000 people that are on our email list, you know, and so
imagine
we get a lot
some
of
the responses.
Yeah, imagine if you have any type of rejection wounds, do not start a business.
This is
because
voodoo.
People will ridicule you and tear you down.
Reiki, voodoo, new age.
So, but what I was saying is that we have a lot of people that go, oh, but you know, as believers, we're not to look at the past. We're not to look at the pain.
We don't want
we're
to
not
be led
to,
by our emotions.
We don't want to.
People really believe that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So there's like
Because
this thing. It's like if I
redemption.
can just believe and just declare and stay in positivity. It's like really what they're doing is like if I can just stay in positive and looking forward and not looking back at all. You're not supposed to look back. It's like this shame if you look back, or the shame if you feel pain for things that have happened, or it's like there's no tools around it. When I see that, I go, it's not necessarily that you just have to lean into your pain, because there is a degree that people are looking, like misery loves company. There's a degree that people just want, it's like, I just want you to feel pain with me in my pain. It's like, in as a 4 on the Enneagram, 4s have a tendency where like, I can just camp out
I feel
and live in
everything.
pain.
And no one understands the
Feeling
pain
pain.
that I go through.
Feeling pain makes me feel alive.
I am an island in the ocean.
So,
That's
you don't
so
resonate
real.
with any of that.
No, never felt any of that in my life. Not at all. Not even a little.
But like, that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about leaning into the pain with compassion.
Yeah.
Allowing the love of God to touch those painful moments. Actually letting light be exposed to the darkness. It's like, I always think of the woman caught in adultery, how the religious leaders dragged her out into the square. And we're like, look at her. What does the law say to do to this woman? It says to stone her. What do you say? And you have this list, like this row of religious men that are looking at this woman caught in the biggest mess of her life. And ultimately, she has this deep, deep hunger for something that she does not know how to get it met. Like, so much so that she's willing to put herself in death's path. Like, do something that is, you get stoned for it. And Jesus is standing there, he starts drawing in the sand. And not only is she naked and having just committed adultery and caught in it and having religious leaders there, but she's also in front of all of the community that she knows.
Right.
And in front of the person that a lot of these people believe represents God, Jesus himself. He's drawing in the sand. He gets up and he says, "You who has no sin, cast the first stone." And then from the oldest to the youngest, they start dropping their stones and walking away. And in a moment, he disarmed accusation over her pain. And I feel like when you're saying and you're talking about, like, I'm leaning into my pain, I'm diving into the pain so I can release the dirty pain of shame, guilt, condemnation, accusation. And it's like, that's why it's so important to lean into it, because there's got to be a healthy grieving that moves all that stuff out so that love can be exposed.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, so many people are so scared of reaching their pain, because they're scared that it's going to take them over.
Right.
I remember there being a lot of different points in time, and this is the same for me in my process, where I was trying to walk out or lay out next steps for you of ways to navigate through things. And I remember the frustration, like, when is the eating disorder going to be over? When am I not going to struggle with this anymore? When am I going to love myself? When am I not going to react to rejection anymore? And you'd be so frustrated. And I remember when you came into my life, seeing the woman that you were called to be. It was so easy to walk you through the really messy moments, because I had vision for who you were, and I knew that you could get there. And so, and you couldn't see that, so you'd keep hitting these walls. And I remember feeling that in my own life. I remember being like, God, why is there another layer? Why do I have to have another season of healing or another piece of this process? And he said to me, Sammy, for every single thing in your life that you conquer and overcome, that I walk you through, not that you get instantly healed from it, that I walk you through, you have material to reach more women.
Yeah, that's really good.
For every single thing you overcome, you can connect with another person. You have power, you have breakthrough, you have influence to bring. And I remember when he said that to me, I had so much vision for my life, because it took me outside of I'm healing just for me, which was beautiful and great. I don't think we should do it for other people. But to now my healing has a purpose. Now me walking in freedom and power has a purpose. And so it felt really exciting to go through the process.
Yeah.
And so with you, with how much you've walked through and how much healing that you have now, do you feel confident to carry out the call that God has on your life, and also to walk out your passions and the desires that are in your heart for leading and influencing?
Yeah, I really like that question. Yes. So I felt the Lord tell me that I was going to be impacting in the area that I am when I was 14. And so I've actually always known, and I would tell people when I was probably like between 15 and 18 that this is what I was going to be doing one day, but I didn't have vision then, though. I just knew it. And I think at the time when I would get frustrated, it was because I felt so stuck in my pain that I couldn't connect to vision, whereas now I'm such a firm believer that since we never arrive, there will still always be layers, and every layer does bring more breakthrough to give. And so I'm like, well, I'm more qualified the more I walk through pain and process. And so there's a certain level I can help right now, and there'll be a certain level next year and the year after, as long as I'm choosing the path of growth and breakthrough and freedom. And so
I love that. We love you.
Love you guys.
We're so proud of you. It's so crazy to see Courtney now. It hits me in these moments where I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe that this is the same girl.
I know.
It's so much fun, and we just love you, and we love getting to work with you now. And we get to interact with her like every day. So
Every day.
It's just good for us.
I love it.
But we love you. Thanks for giving us your time.
Yeah, thank you.